Zambia Blog Talk Radio.
Presenting book titles authored by Derek Chibilu. The following titles are now available: Love as God Intended It, Whimsical Wonders, 50 Tales of Fictional Fun. The Bible Storybook series is available in 3 volumes with multiple choice questions and answers included at the end of every chapter. Volume 1, 50 Bible Tales for Kids. Volume 2, 46 Parables, Tales of God's Kingdom in Our Lives. And Volume 3, Exploring the Transformative Power of Faith and the Miraculous Acts of Christ. Order on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles online. Here is a comment from one reader of Love as God Intended It. I went through it in one sitting. Excellent flow of language and thought. It's a great resource bent on promoting love and harmony in marital relationships. It's a must-read for all people, especially those that belongs to the community of faith. Kudos by Dr. Abel Satali. Both books are available online at Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. You can also get Whimsical Wonders and Love as God Intended It on Google Play Books and Google Books in audiobook versions. Get your child captivating bedtime stories from Whimsical Wonders, 50 Tales of Fictional Fun. The books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook at the following distributors: Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Google Books, and Google Play Books. The word is out. Order your copy today by following the book links that you see on the screen. For more information or questions, email thecblogger@gmail.com. Hurry and get your copy today before they run out.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Saturday, July the 15th. That's where we are right now, right in the center of the year. Welcome to the show. Today is Citizens Forum, which simply means no script. My guests are going to talk about whatever they want. We are going to tackle any issue or situation. Tag a friend and let them know that ZBTR is on live. You can follow us on Facebook, Zambia Blog Talk Radio, so that you get the notifications on whatever is coming up every weekend, and ZBTR TV on YouTube so that you don't miss any live broadcasts. Okay, let me welcome my guests. These are not really guests. They are regular contributors to this show. Matilda. Oh, one thing I noticed. Good morning, Allan.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Matilda.
Good morning. I've noticed it too.
You've noticed it too. What have you noticed?
The color, shirt color.
Okay. Yes, that's a good one. I didn't notice that. Have you noticed something here, Allan? I noticed something.
Florida?
Yeah, both Floridians.
Oh, yeah, Floridians. Yeah.
They are both joining us from the same whatever part of the country and everything else. So you're doing all right. It's been a while since both of you were on the show, and it's good to have you back. How is Rodney?
Rodney is fine, working very hard, but he's well. Yeah.
I give a lot of kudos to Rodney. Allan, now he has survived this Luapula woman. I hope you haven't.
I know, right?
You haven't fed him pales and the campinda all the time and
The
all that.
The thing is, I just need him just to tell me the truth. At Baba Rodney, no bye.
Yeah.
There's no way a person can like eating kapenta and inshima from the get-go. Nayamungoto.
I'm sure if he tries ancestral.com, he will find himself somewhere in Muchinga province or something.
we are afraid that we might find that Vienna, Nigeria. So
Okay, we shall leave it at that. All right, everyone, like we've said today is Citizens Forum, which simply means no script, right? Anything goes, and we shall talk about anything. Good morning, everybody. If you've got anything you want to comment about or to bring to our attention, please post it in the comments, and we shall see if we can talk about it and say what we have to say. Except for one item that we are not going to talk about here. And I've told people let's go on this trail first before we begin what we need to talk about. So when we say something has gone viral, what are we exactly saying? What does that mean?
It has spread
like a virus.
It has what?
Spread like a virus.
Spread like a virus.
Yes.
By itself, or it's people who do it?
It's basically people who are transmitting from person to person. So
there you go. Based on people transmitting and from person to person. The reason I'm saying that is this is what I'm telling people, okay? That viral video, I'm not even going to mention the name, about the person being online for 6 hours. The reason it's gone viral is because we are transmitting it from person to person. The only way to stop it, shut it down, okay? Stop it, everybody. In my position is not even about that person. It's a reflection on us as a community that we thrive on those things. Well, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's a parable for today. That's the only thing we are not going to talk about here. Please stop it. Something doesn't go viral by itself. It's people who make it go viral. Yeah. That's it. It's simple.
There's a saying, Nathan, that the way you kill a sacred cow is just stop feeding it. It will die of natural causes, and nobody will be blamed for its death.
Yeah.
So just stop feeding the thing, and it will die.
Yeah, there you go. So stop it, Zambians. Stop it. Okay.
I'm glad we stopped it. Whatever it is, I don't know it, and I don't want to know. We stopped it.
No, you don't need to know. We are not going to mention the name. We're going to speak in parables today.
It's a good morning.
Yeah, that's a good morning. Okay, so Allan just came back from Zambia. Matilda, you told me you had something to share. You have all the time here. So, Matilda, Citizens Forum, what's on your heart? What is it that you wanted to say?
You know what, Nathan, I was prepared for what I was going to say, right? Until just now, I looked on the corner of my eye and I see a cat, a black and white cat walking per porch. Remember, as a Zambian, as a Christian, where's my anointing oil? The blood of Jesus. You shall fail, you will not catch me today. You have found whoever has sent you.
Yes. Back to sender.
Back to sender, right?
Yeah. It's amazing.
This is a cat. It's a stray cat. It comes from time to time in our yard. From time to time, we feed it and so on. But we know in America, there's a population of kittens. There are a lot of cats here that are not spayed or neutered. So there are a lot of kittens running around. Okay. And it's a pet problem kuma Americans. But if we're in Africa, apanga achwa straight up bullish. And the fact that it's partially black and partially white. You know, it's one of those things that as Zambians, as Africans, we are so much into the supernatural on the dark side and not Ifyakwalesa. We always see the dark side of things instead of the good things. So anyway, I digress because I saw the cat walk in front. So Avalefo Peppa, please continue praying for me. Who knows? I don't know.
And you pray for your sister here. There's a cat in her house.
Yes.
Back to sender. Back to sender.
Back to sender.
I actually
wherever that came from. Suppose it's suppose it's what do you call it? Suppose it's God who's sending it to you, so you're sending it to him. Back to him.
Yeah. So anyway, I digress. Yes, Nathan, thank you so much for the opportunity. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are listening or watching us from. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Matilda. I am in Miami, for those who don't know me, but I'm a regular. Nathan Vadishva. I have a corner office somewhere in ZBTR.
The people who are ZBTR people, but they only show up every 6 months. But it's all good.
Yes. This morning, because I want to give Allan a chance as well to speak about his trip in Zambia. But today, this morning, what's on my heart? I want to talk about very briefly women's health. And it's funny that I should be talking about it with you, Nathan, as a male host, Allan as a man. But this is something that's important that we
are both married.
Exactly.
Everybody needs to know this. Take your time.
Yes.
You have all the time. Take your
Yes.
time, and we shall get some feedback from Tandy, Mwansa, and everybody else watching here. The ladies, they'll give us some feedback.
Yes.
So let's you go, Matilda. Take your time.
Take my time. Vanama, you're prepared to write and chastise me. You can inbox me. So as a Zambian, as a woman, a Black woman, an African woman, there are things that we are told not to talk about. You never talk about periods, you not talk about menstruation, you don't talk about certain things concerning a woman's body. That's fine. However, some of these things they have health an impact or health implications. Now, when we are silent about these things, we suffer alone. And by the time we're talking about it, it might be too late. Things have already progressed and so on. And then doctors, they're looking at us like, why didn't you mention it? You know? So one thing I will say, when a woman reaches puberty in Zambia, back in my time, I don't know about now, they'll tell you never, ever, ever talk about your menstrual cycle. Nothing. Don't even tell your friend. Don't tell anybody. Nobody. And so when I came here to the United States, I went to see my kind of like first time seeing a gynecologist. They're asking me, do you have painful periods? Not, they're normal. I mean, isn't that normal? Like, yeah, because I'm about to I feel like Alipa, so don't even talk about it. Don't even bring it about. There's nothing new. The doctor's like, no, this type of pain you're describing is abnormal. You shouldn't experience this. I'm like, okay. So they asked other personal things that I may not go into, but it was a shock. But the thing is, I could have talked about it with women, friends. Even if we talked about it with our elders, they said, Fila Kalipa. So why are you talking about it? There's nothing new under the sun. This is normal. To find out later on that I had fibroids. And now where fibroids that why is she and so they made attempts to fix them, to take them out. They did. They came back again, and when they came back really big, like quite big. Some years ago, I actually looked like I was pregnant, you know, and people say, oh, thank God. I had Christians, Africans. Oh, we thank God. Sister Matilda, you're not telling us. Not
we thank God, though. We thank God now.
We thank God, though. You know, because the fibroids were getting even big, so big that I actually looked pregnant. And you would think at that time that I had lived in America long enough to be going to the doctor often. Later on, they found this thing was as big as a 5-month pregnancy. You know, just grew. It was just so big. And I still didn't do my own research. And the doctors just assumed these are things I should already know. And life goes on. So, you know, when we moved from Missouri to Florida, I really didn't get honed in on finding a doctor for, you know, OBGYN, twice up, you know. This thing has come back. But here's what's scary, Nathan, because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it even with other women. We just say, oh, Shana, this thing sucks up blood. It takes your blood from your body. You know, it's one thing to have a cycle where, you know, it's below the waist and all that, but this thing grows like a baby. It's the way a baby would grow and say, "Lefama nutrients, it's a muscle, right?" But the thing is, as it's growing and sucking up blood, it's affecting the heart. It's stressing the heart. It's making the heart, it's trying to produce and pump blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those of you who are my friends on Facebook, I said, oh, there was an incident that happened. Go fund. I'm laughing as if it's not as serious, but it is. I was in Walmart a Tuesday morning. I went to Walmart like before, to let me buy some things, get out. And right there, I felt like my heart was electrocuted. And it was so painful. you know, the world just started spinning, and I'm wondering, just just started moving. It was just not a good thing to explain. Thank God I was able to get some medical attention and so on. And the doctors told me that my heart is very stressed. Bantu chintuchi na chikonkanya po kula syndrome lopa. Now that thing is taking out blood, and then there's a menstrual cycle that comes that's also taking out blood. So it's like, you know. So the thing is, we need to talk about this with our partners, our husbands, and get your feeling. Whereas we are, you know, the fibroids are non-cancerous, but they can lead to other problems. They can lead to so many other serious things, like I have mentioned, stressing the heart. Now, my doctors now, whatever issue, but this thing is very prominent in Black women, African Americans, and Africans. Africa, you know, people go for surgery, and sometimes these surgeries are not successful. A lot of times they're not. And a lot of times women are seeking help when it's too late, you know. So there are people who say, "Kwalvama natural remedies," but I'll tell you the thing about natural remedies, they take long. So you don't see the result immediately. So maybe kaleta mpaka fibroid, like, okay, vakasanga, you start doing this thing that takes however long, and then you're like, oh, fialipwa. But when something is as big as a 5-month pregnancy, it takes a while, you know. So it's one of those decisions, like, what do you do? You know, for those, there are so many women I know who are here watching, maybe we'll watch later, who are in childbearing age, and some decisions can affect having kids. You know, so if we need to have these conversations as women, talk about them, not just with women, but with our spouses, because they do affect as men, it affects your wives, it affects your mothers, because even women who are past Twitter, menopause, they still can still have these issues. They can be way up in their 60s, close to 70s, still have fibroid issues, even if they're not having a cycle, because this thing is sucking up blood in your body. So you find a person is anemic, they have low iron, low potassium, no blood. If dali moli monga mwatu manapa Facebook atina bakashika yo tamuli fiomolopa. Yeah, so it affects our sisters, our daughters, our wives. So these are conversations we need to have, and I wish in Zambia we can break that norm and start talking about these things.
So Matilda, a disclaimer here to everybody watching. When Matilda told me, she was going to talk about this, and I said, then I changed my point. I said, no, I think you should. I think you should, because here's the thing. And I said this to my sisters on the Insaka Talk Show. I said to them, and let me also mention Dr. Henry Musoma. I said to them, I appreciate and I value their transparency. Because remember, I said this to Henry here. I said, you know, it is so difficult for us as a people, like you said, Matilda, to talk about certain things, and yet, Allan, these are issues of a matter of life and death, okay? I have some wonderful people watching here, and I know Banachanda is a nurse. So, Matilda, if I may ask you this question, what would be what would be the starting point to try and you know the point I'm trying to make? How do you get to that point?
I think I know the question you want to ask.
Yes.
And I will start by saying, one, let's not downplay it. You know, for you men who have daughters and okay, more comfortable with the mother, pay attention. What's causing it? When my mother was a young girl, she told me she used to faint, and her grandmother would tell her, you know, she's avoiding work, you know, but Kuno, it's like, oh, they pay attention. So if your wife or your sister or somebody, any ladies around you, if you're co-worker, these are normal things. Yes, it is normal because God designed us to have this time of the month where we cleanse our bodies and so on. Yes, but there's some things that are more serious and we need to pay attention. Sometimes it can be an indication, not just fibroids, it can be uterine cancer, it can be cysts, it can be endometriosis, it can be scar tissue. So we need to pay attention. And the thing is, as women, we are hard on each other. We are, America, they are doing studies that are well known that a lot of pregnancies, when it comes to Black women or Latinos or minorities, but number one, Black women, a lot of them die from pregnancy complications because even as these doctors, whether white, Black, male, female, as they are training them, it's in the medical books or somewhere in their teachings that we have a high threshold for pain. So chidifie, it's okay. No, it's not okay. So that's why we have more and more Black doctors or more and more advocates who are saying, speak up, don't be quiet. Even if it's your doctor who's saying, Shan, chilifie abnormal, speak about it, talk about it. We shouldn't say, we need to talk about these things. It's not good to find out way in advanced stage that this thing could have been taken care of much, much earlier. You could have received medical treatment, whether it's science or natural. You could have received that treatment much, much earlier.
Yeah,
so
that's
let's not downplay it.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead, Allan.
Yeah. This for me digs into the broader problem or part of our society, especially when we take it back home. Because, like, for instance, only about 5 years ago or maybe 5 years ago now, just before the pandemic, when I went to Zambia, did I realize the issues that our sisters and daughters and mothers face when it comes to menstrual cycles and as it pertains to schools. Most of them can't afford sanitary pads and things like that, so they end up missing days at school.
Yes.
And I was like, I've grown up all this time. I've never stopped to think the why and what's the solution and how difficult that must be for our sisters and daughters and mothers.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy. And so for me, it became like a crusade. Now I've got to figure out a way to help, to do my part in contributing to helping those kids, especially as we work with the kids in the townships. So now you are there in our compounds in Zambia, right?
Yeah.
Young girls that we're trying to raise and look after, their parents or guardians were told not to speak about these things. They're not even aware about all these diseases and all these issues. So the responsibility then, we say, where do we start in educating them? So it's, for me, that's where government comes in. You can't tell people who are ignorant about the subject to be the ones that begin to advocate for this.
And you see, Allan, to your point, like you are saying that you were trying to find, there are people who are working on these, there are people doing projects on this thing. Yes. One person I know who's part of ZBTR, she's also watching, Caro Foundation.
Yes,
Caro
I'm
Cares.
aware that Caro Foundation is
You see, if we have people like that doing things like this about sanitary pads, let's get him. What do they say? Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just jump on the bandwagon of people doing things and let's support them. There are a lot of people watching here and the ladies are making comments. I'm going to put two people it's okay by Elizabeth. We appreciate the issue is transparency actually here. This is what she's saying. It also blocked my fertility because as they grow, they block fertility.
They do.
And she's saying, sorry, I use myself as an example, but I agree with Sister Matilda. This is a serious problem in women. But Elizabeth, we appreciate that transparency. And this is what we are talking about. Like I said, Carol is also watching. She's a professional, she's a qualified nurse.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
She's also mentioning, she says, great topic. I battled fibroids for a while. It's about time for a conversation. Now, here's what I want to say. I want to put, and Tandy is telling me that Nathan, you should pay attention.
But
no, wait. My sister here is saying this is my elder sister, actual elder sister. Okay. But Rachel is saying, Hosea 4:6, my people perish for lack of knowledge. We need more conversations on these issues. Thanks, big sis, and always appreciate your support. But Brenda and Carol, you are nurses, and I want to put you on the spot here. You can respond in the quickest way you can. So, professionally speaking, what's the best way to approach this thing? Of course, it's important to have conversations about women's health and all these things, especially like Allan, you've pointed out, our younger sisters, the younger girls in school. It's like Matilda, the example you've given about your mom. I'm going all over the place. I'm trying to cover a lot of things. Your mom used to faint, and your grandma used to say,
her
grandmother used to say, and all those things.
Yeah.
It's you see, there are a lot of people I know who've had this issue. I wish I had asked their permission to talk about their situations before the show, but I didn't. So I've thrown a question and a point to my sisters who are in the nursing practitioner.
But Nathan, I think while they respond, my point is this: starting with the conversations, yes, but where should they be happening? There's got to be the highest pool that we get a number of girls in. It's the schools. Starting in primary school, secondary, and go. So there's got to be a deliberate government policy where there's, in the school subject, there's time where you take the girls aside and even the boys to some extent and discuss these things, teach them in school. Number two, the churches. I've told even the churches, the people that we're working with.
When you mention the church, you're gonna make me start a fight.
Where do we have the largest number of women and girls congregating? Because to say it's conversations, where should these conversations happen? In their homes? Their mothers are ignorant about the subjects. So what are they going to be discussing?
Can I come in right there, Baba?
Yes, please do.
Sorry, Allan. I didn't mean kumikata pakanwa. There's something I had wanted to say before we even got to this part. When Allan was mentioning, his ministry, I know someone who was doing a project in Zambia for water. I mean, drilling waters in their Zambia. I think they are called power equipment empowerment. Water empowerment or something like that. Their issue, while they're trying to talk about water, their number one thing that has come up: lack of sanitation, lack of sanitary pads for girls. Drill wells, but you find that this is a problem. Our friend Chola Teni, who is a Panan Chola Lungu, Alesa Papa ZBTR, she was doing one project only to find herself in this issue where Banamayo, girls and women don't have the basic needs, so it starts, there's a lot of work. But even before we bring in the government, who has our ear as girls? It's the women in our homes. If we are told from an early age, Techakwe Shokulanda, don't talk about it, you will never talk about it. They tell you, don't tell your friends, don't tell anybody. And then there's also as I said earlier, we believe more in the superstitious things, supernatural on the dark side than on the good side. Is there evil in the world? People do malicious things? Yes, they do. But you have to talk about these things. So we are so guarded with these things. What Tatulanda? You can have a best friend, you're tight like this, but you've never told your friend anything because the women in your family or the women around you told you never ever to talk about it. So it's a community thing. We all have to talk about it. If Nathan, I'm sorry to use you over Allan as an example. If your daughter has such an issue and they tell your wife, there's a 50% chance that your wife may not tell you.
Yeah.
Very likely she may not tell you. Or if they tell you Malalandati, why are you involving me? Mayo, deal with it. And that is a thing. So while my nurse sisters are responding, I'll say one thing is, as women, we have to learn to speak up. As Black women or minorities, we have to speak up. Insist. Pantunava Dr. Navo, even though we feel they may have our interest at heart, we have a mark against us as Black women because they tell us that women have a high threshold for pain, and yet it's not supposed to be like that. Do periods do you know what's funny? I don't know if the Zambian women, if they can answer Mumanan. My first gynecologist doctor here in America said your period is not supposed to be painful. And it's not supposed to be painful. Because all of us in Africa will experience it, right? Most of us anyway, inshallah, and that all of us in Shikoitama statistics. But there could be something wrong with that. And that's why we have to speak up.
It's very important. Yes, I before I go to the comment, to a response to the question that I threw, Brenda is saying, I only discovered that I had fibroids when I miscarried at 7 weeks. That's very painful. Now, she's a nurse. I had asked a question, and this is a response. She says, the overall in overcoming this issue is having wellness checks. Africans, Black women only visit the doctor when they are sick. Not just women, but Brenda, especially as men.
Yeah,
especially as men.
Yeah,
these wellness checks are very important. Yeah, it's very,
So the issue of visiting medical checkups, right?
Yeah.
It is those of us here, and then back in Zambia, it's a very minute population that has access to these doctors where they can go for a regular checkup. So that's why I'm bringing it down to the very basic where do we catch the widest net? In the schools and in your churches. Every compound you go to, there's a church on every other corner. Every classroom in the compound of every school is a church. You get the highest caption of people because some solutions, these people don't have access to these things. Maybe that's why I wasn't aware that women have problems with their, their sanitary pads and stuff like that. Maybe my sisters and stuff had access. But when you go, that's where the highest population is. And that's where practical solutions for them. These institutions must begin there because their parents can't advocate for something they are ignorant about. They don't know.
Yeah.
That's very important. Mwansa says that's a very important point. It's the schools and the churches. We are supporting schools and churches. That's where the conversation is coming from. Caro is still typing. I'm waiting for her response. Okay.
But on Brenda's point, a lot of women, they may suffer from infertility or infertility or problems with pregnancy, because when you have a fibroid and you're pregnant, there's a competition on who's getting the nutrients. And a lot of times it's the fibroid that wins, So instead of the baby getting the nutrients, and Brenda, I'm so sorry that you experienced that, and other women who's experienced that, the fibroid usually takes it up and causes such problems. It's not easy. Because Zambia, there is a high divorce rate from time immemorial if a woman is not having children. But we never investigate why. Sometimes it's a man who has a problem, but no, once a man perfect. But there are issues that with women that need to be dealt with, and they can be corrected. When I listen to the people on the YouTubes and the TikToks and the Shani, some of the things that they say are helpful, especially on the natural side. But pastor when Christiani vaishire vasati vatifile keni fiance fifyabulo shimwesha no kwesha, right? But the things that they're saying, these are natural things for us. We've abandoned them. A lot of times when we're doing this research and say, oh, I need to buy castor oil, I need to buy moringa, fit to kwata in our backyard. But we are going to go for modern medicine. Nothing wrong with it. Go for the modern medicine if it works. Go for the science. But we also need to know what works for us naturally. So pastor mwila fundalion sati natural things are evil.
No, absolutely not.
I know.
Because you're going to find that the pastor is at the forefront, making sure I'm eating natural and taking all these things. Because I also know that I need to take care of this temple. Because if I am sick, how do I do the Lord's work?
That's true.
Somebody wrote earlier, my people perish for lack of what? Lack of knowledge.
For lack of knowledge, Zia, yeah. Carol has responded. For some reason, she says she's trying to post on YouTube, but it's not letting her. So the first point she says is, number one, education know what's abnormal, like what you said, Matilda, okay? I think basically she's trying to say pay attention to abnormalities, okay? Secondly, early detection, routine screening. Number 3, she says interventions, removal, partial or total, Hebrew word,
Hysterectomy.
How do you know? Are you a prophetess? Partial or total is the what did you say the word again?
Hysterectomy. That's the removing of the uterus.
Yeah, debunk cultural connotations of witchcraft. Fibroids are part of Black ethnic populations, and their origin needs to be investigated. Their prevalence is concerning. Yeah, that's very, very important.
2 points from Vaccaro is pay attention to the body. The flaw is we are not allowed to talk about it. So you don't know if it's normal, if it's or abnormal. So when you're a teenager, you're in school, you're experiencing these things, you are failing to tell your best friend because they told you cannot. You don't even know if it's normal for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. You don't know. You don't know if it's normal to miss a month or not a month. Because there's no comparison. It's much later that maybe you happen on a day of vulnerability. You tell your female friend and say, if you feel thinking. By then you have fibroids the size of a tennis ball. You know what I mean? So
even more than that.
Yes. So number 1, know your body, but let's allow as Zambian women, African women, Black women to talk about these things so that I know that this is normal, this is not normal. And you compare with other ladies, other women. Hello, the women in our family. I'm not saying anything particularly against my family, but this is the norm. We should not dismiss these things. We go to our mothers, our aunties, our cousins, our elders. Just because they did not get the treatment then shouldn't mean that we should not get the treatment. The other point, it's one of the 2 points. Yes.
Okay, Doctor. Here's the response from a man. Thank you, Matilda Elizabeth, for being candid on women health issues. Sensitizing us all is key to understanding and helping. It's Citizens Forum today, and we just decided to talk about what was on Matilda's heart and mind. Now, here's what people are saying, just do another show with Allan. Let's just talk about let's finish what Matilda is talking about. I'm like,
sorry, Allan.
We need to do this and that. Allan is also participating. Yeah, go ahead, Allan.
I said I'm interested because these are issues that, as we are reaching out to try and help, there are issues that we're encountering, and having to deal with. And some of the things that are being said is what I've been dealing with women leaders and the ones that we've got on the ground. Even just last week, I was talking to them about young girls being abused. I'm like, you, the mothers, are the ones who tell the young girls to shut up, and don't say anything. After when child reports abuse, you say shut up. Same thing with women's health issues. It's the same women who are the caregivers who say don't say nothing.
I want to say something. And
before you say what you need to say, Matilda, hold that thought, like they say. Let's take a commercial break. We
are a multidisciplinary construction firm that specializes in a wide range of construction fields, including but not limited to architectural, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, real estate. Our commitment to excellence is evident in every project we undertake, as we strive to provide a client-focused experience that is driven by their needs, quality assurance, and resource optimization. Our services encompass general construction, civil works, roads, interior design, landscape, swimming pools, building renovation and remodeling. Our consultancy services include project management, project costing, construction management, project planning, just to mention a few. We're dedicated to providing the highest quality of work, which is why our company motto, Build It Right, is at the forefront of everything we do. Our vision for building the Oakberg way reflects our commitment to quality and integrity, ensuring that every project we undertake is built to the highest standards. When you choose Oakberg as your construction partner, you can expect a unique and unparalleled experience. Our approach to building sets us apart in the industry, and we are confident that you will see the difference in our work. So why wait? Get in touch with us for a quote today. Oakberg Resources. Build it right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Citizens Forum. My guests this morning, Matilda Mwaba and Pastor Allan Chali Mulenga. By the way, that commercial I put up, everybody watching, and those of you who record, that's a guy that I used to do all my construction work in Zambia. Very professional and trusted. When I say he's trusted, he is trusted.
It's trusted.
He's not going to eat your money like all those your blulus who have eaten your money. Go professional.
Chachin.
Like Mwansa would say, speak your truth. We are talking the truth. We are being transparent here. Yeah, now there are a lot of problems I know real estate is what all of us are doing, and we're having a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
If you need a professional guy to do your work, get in touch with that guy. Next week, we are actually talking about land policy and real estate investment in Zambia. Most of you, if I say the name, you all know Natasha Chiumia. She's going to be our guest here. She'll be talking about that. Matilda, I told you to hold that thought you were about to say.
Yes, I was going to say this, and I think it's a challenge for all of us. I'm challenging Bonse, whoever kwata ability kuya kunganda no kuwela. And I'll mention two people, I'll put them on the spot, Allan and Caro. Whenever if we're not able to travel, or if we're able to, let's help these two people I've mentioned and other projects. Let's send, and I hope Caro and Amivika more project. I hope it's okay with you. But if we can send,
Caro is already doing this.
I know that.
Yeah.
Let's not only send sanitary pads and all the things related to that. The other thing is Vakaptula. There's somebody who took pads like crazy. That one. And these people are they're explaining to them, you put this thing on your underwear, and the people are like, Kaptula, underwear, what is that? The girls are asking. So they said, no, Mayo, the women who are here, the older women. And they're like, we've never owned underwear. Never. So how do you have a person who's grown, has children, and they don't have underwear? Because they're used to methods from Kale. So those things, if we can, let's send underwear, let's send pads. But I believe as you go into your ministries, these are things that can help further your ministry. While you're preaching your word of God, you are also doing something twofold. Bakaro na we need to do these things, support. If I'm traveling, I wouldn't mind taking these things and taking them and distributing them. And please, Vantu,
let me ask you this question. Let me ask this question, not just to Matilda, everybody. Pastor Cambo, Priska, Mwansa, Tandy, England, and everybody else. So, if we collect first, some things are when you are learning to talk openly, you tread carefully. You know what I'm trying to say? So, first of all, how do I get on a project of underwear?
So,
my daughter is standing here.
Chavanga deodorant. Kuzambia abantu tabakwa chila shupa mwaingira mu bus mulife chive. You almost feel like taking your deodorant and giving them. So there are things that you are like, okay, if say you have traveled over, Allan is already in the ministry, but let's say Vanessa and you travel for the first time and somebody has sent you this underwear. It's possible to say, okay, maybe ngatwako kumishinangu, even limbia banch to mwatampila po. These are things that you can use. But again, that's suspicion. Kuzambia. Chavashani, what's going on here? We are so weird, but these things are needed everywhere. But Nathan, kuti mwaifena ku market masanda toke kuliko bana mayo abakala batwingalanda na. You don't even have to necessarily be in an organized project. You can actually do these things on your own. You know, you can go to a church kukombo even na muliamwine mulusakave muliamwine muli ba bougie. These things are much helpful. They are needed. You know, just like this. I'm not saying these things don't happen. I think we had Thelma Mwanga, Malambo. She was here. The organization she works for, they do these things. They already are doing these things. So there are already things on the ground, but we're still not reaching enough people. Chimona ministry, you're preaching, but
we need to do more of this and disseminate the information. Let people be aware that these are some of the things that need to be done. By the way, Mwansa says she needs to do a show with you to be more candid about this. I think she feels like platform and I'm not doing anything. I'm just directing the conversation. Mwansa says no, Vanathan, you are
maybe that talk about other things that, for example, fibroids will do. The women in your lives or Shan will not tell you sometimes fibroids can cause painful sex. Nalanda. Tamwishive, you'd have been married 50 years, not even knowing that this thing is causing discomfort to this woman. But because we are told not to talk about it, we don't know, we suffer in silence. So the men who are watching, get to know your wife. Ask these questions. It's uncomfortable, especially ngatabachira on radio pano elo mwaya mvepusha chat yafuma kuisele elo kirisha anibane ilidion set amwa.
I know right that where is this coming from? Listen, okay, wait, let's go back. Yeah, Mwansa says collaboration and networking, we can do that. We do Ngombe School. And that point you are making, yeah, Carol has finally managed to come on, what do you call it? On YouTube. Great point, Matilda, and thank you guys for supporting feminine hygiene. We need to do this, okay? So, Matilda, let's do this. Let's give ourselves a small assignment here, Allan, the three of us. Let's put together organizations which are doing feminine hygiene in Zambia and come up with a project. And, you know, let me say this. You know, $100 is a lot of money in Zambia.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money on it.
Allan, you just came back from Zambia. Like everybody has said, I need to do a separate show with you. I know you are okay.
Sorry, Allan.
No,
that's all right. That's all right.
You see, it's Pastor Cambo is saying, oh, sorry, I took that away. Pastor Cambo is saying, what about men's infertility? Studies show that is prevalent in Southern Africa. Let's talk about it. Yeah,
we should.
I know somebody else who's very candid about this. Dr. Munsanje, you bring Dr. Munsanje here, he's going to speak openly.
One thing, I remembered what I wanted to say about the hysterectomy. For those who don't know what this is, a hysterectomy, there can be a partial or a whole hysterectomy. Hysterectomy is taking out the womb. The uterus. So a partial can be like there's a fibroid sitting on part of the uterus. The woman can still have her cycle and so on, but when it comes to fertility, there are some women, by the grace of God, miraculously, they still do get pregnant. There are some women who've had complete hysterectomy, and still have children, but your percentage of having children is low. Because we want to have children, and that's our culture. And we say Zambia, Makamaka, Africa concept. If there are no children, they're subject for divorce. So if you say no, these things, maybe by God's grace, yes, by God's grace, these things can happen. But a lot of times, God's grace we don't even cry out to God about it. It saves a life. But Nathan Kalondi, umutima uli stressed. Pantu mulopa nshikwete. What happened on Tuesday was serious.
Yeah.
Very serious, as I said. Lelonga mlechita go fund. Lelonga mlecha, did she have insurance? That's how serious it was. Not only does it affect the heart, it affects the mind. Blood carries oxygen. Sometimes you can't think clearly. You're foggy. So she just down, you know, but you know you're smart. But you can't think clearly because you don't have enough oxygen. We are encouraged to say, oh, no, if you have iron pills, we take iron pills. Those things cause constipation. If you cannot go to the bathroom and eliminate the waste, toxins build up. They cause fogginess in the brain. They cause other diseases, you know. But that's another thing. Sorry, but we don't even talk about pooping. Once we all do it. But we have to talk about these things. If you're not talking about it, how can you be healthy? So if we have, so there are certain things that you can, like I just found out recently, when I feel like this, the best thing to do is eat protein. We can do things that will help with the blood supply. Umulopa wanina, but you know who's taking the umulopa? Fibroid. Increase umulopa nangojera twatotela mwane chisuma, thank you. And this thing continues growing. So what do you do? That where comes your hysterectomy? Are we going to save the life of this person? You know, like, is it better for them not to have children? But I'm saving a life yakwe pantu twachita pasho nangwe yo tumuleke katwishi limbi bumo bushiku. Na papa tava pastor na wonse. I'm not saying we can't believe God for a miracle. We serve a God who performs miracles. God is a good God.
Yeah, you see, Matilda, you are hitting it right on the head. Like you said at the beginning of our show, we are so superstitious on the evil side of things. And some of the problems that people have faced in marriage, in relationships, are basically just boiled down to what you have talked about today. Change the you know, the in-laws, no issue at a medical condition or medical situation like this one. Okay. Well, you've won a serious vote here, and I think you and Mwansa are going to start a political party. I truly love Matilda.
Thank you.
She's so real. This is serious, and everybody. When I reached out to Matilda and Allan, I said, hey, let's have just an open conversation about this. Allan, you and I had no reason that this was going to go this way, right? Like I said at the beginning, Citizens Forum just means a show without a script. Yeah. And here we are and everything else. And here's some professional information from Matilda. You're the one who knows how to pronounce this word.
Hysterectomy. Allan Chali.
Achan, say, repeat after me.
Hysterectomy.
Partial hysterectomy involves the removal of the uterus, leaving ovaries intact. It prevents early menopause. Total hysterectomy removes everything and sends one straight into menopause. That's what she's saying. So she also says she's making some great points. You've done very well.
Menopause, when we are preparing for puberty, every woman you know in your life would tell you what to expect for puberty and when you hit it. But nobody prepares you for menopause. And if it's you men, you have no patience for us. One, we don't know what's happening and we drive you crazy because ama hormones ni part 2 ya ma hormones. Utatwa ishi ibe kubwa iche ino mbama hormones yala pena. Kwalva perimenopause, kwalva na menopause, vana mano tukakwera.
But see, Vanessa, for me, this subject is important, and I'm very interested because, especially if you're doing ministry and then also the charity work that we do, that we've been doing back home. So working with children, they want to work with the girl child. That's how 4 years ago I discovered that they have the issue with sanitary, pads and stuff like that.
Yes.
And if you're a ministry and you're in church, 70+% of your congregants are women. So that's why, for me, bringing it down. So the church has to be part of the solution. This nonsense of this subject is taboo, whatever, cannot be. if in your congregation, like for me, what I'm doing with our women that are working in George Compound and the young girls, where the people there are ignorant, I'm going to find somebody in the city who is going to come and sit down with these young girls and begin to talk to them. You know, like I said before, one of the things that I'm tackling directly is the issue of kids being abused, because you find that 70+% of our young girls are abused and then told to shut up. By who? By fellow women, number one.
It's true.
So for me, as their pastor and somebody that wants to take care of them and is trying to help out and trying to, that's a problem. So even now on the health side, that's another problem which we are confronted with, and we have to be able to address these things in the churches, in the schools. That's where we have the biggest pull, because if, like I said again, if our mothers and grandmothers are ignorant of this subject, it means there's a whole couple of generations that are ignorant. So how do we turn the tide?
Yes.
To educate and inform the generations that are coming, so that, yes, we find solutions for today, but then also 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from today, this problem could be halved or reduced to minimum levels.
That's right. That's right. Well, that was so our show today. Mwansa, Matilda is all yours. You can have her, take her.
Your solution, because I'm already grappling with some of the solutions.
I know. We'll do another show.
Even if I'm there, Matilda, I am there because my baby needs the help.
Yeah.
I think challenge that clarion call. Put it out there.
Yes.
And let me the carrot to Dangwa Tingamle from send the to me nama pads nama tools for women. I'll take these things, you know, because there are some people who want to help but they can't travel. They can give financially or they can send these things.
Yes.
But we need one day to have one favor Amazon and box these things. But we can't report. Let's see what we can do.
Whatever she's been doing, can write on that.
Yes.
Unless you can film on what she's doing.
We are going to do a specific show on this, and I'll rally everybody who wants to come on here and do what we need to do. So we're going to work on that. So Matilda, thank you for being candid. I do appreciate you very much. Pastor Allan, thanks for being a sport on this issue. All right, everybody, that was our show today. Next week, like I said, we'll be talking about land policy and real estate investment in Zambia. And we are going to have Natasha Chiumia next week. Most of you know her. So we're going to have a discussion on that. And thanks for joining us. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. See you next week.
They want me down, they want me suffer, they want me gone, but I'm a biggie man, brother.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.